different things coming up on the back page. Immediately what's coming up is the pizza supper and visitation night. We're going to take some time out of our evening to go visit our shut-ins and have pizza a little bit before that. This will all start at 6 o'clock. So if you would like to come, we would really love for you to. And then our book study is going on, continuing at 6 o'clock on the 26th. And then next Sunday at 5 o'clock, we're having our Operation Inasmuch meeting, so please come out to that. And right now, I'd like to introduce you to Gary May, who's going to come on up. He is going to talk to you about this program called Reading Buddies. And so he wants to see if we might be having some interest in it. And then I'll let you talk from there.
Thank you very much. We really do appreciate this opportunity and this time. I'm from Star United Methodist Church. So today I'm a recovering Methodist, okay? But anyway, I've seen a lot of faces here that I know, and I hope you won't hold it against them. But anyway, at Star United Methodist Church about 5 years ago, we began a program that's connecting with the elementary school in Star. And we're serving as mentors. We call it Reading Buddies. That's a name that's often used in the school, so we're there as mentors. What we found, though, over the past 5 years, we come together either early September or late September or early October with a coordinator from the school, a representative who will give us the names of the kids that teachers have suggested for the Reading Buddy program. What we found, however, is each and every year we keep falling short. We do not have enough volunteers within that school. So we started looking outside of our church to the community, so we're trying to recruit from there. What we're hoping to do, because the next question that followed all of that after we got into it was, well, what about Greenridge Elementary? What about Candor Elementary? And we've discovered there is not an organized program at either of those schools either. So there is a need. So what better place to start than right here in the church? We're mission and ministry minded. It's a great opportunity to make such a difference in the life of your community that it's incredible. We had no idea how this would be received until we got into it ourselves and the difference that it's actually made. So there's some fundamentals here that we all understand and realize. Not all kids are going to learn at the same pace. That's just not the way the world is. Not all kids have the most stable of environments. That's just truth. That's just the way life is. We also realize that some kids receive much more attention at home than others. Some receive more help at home with their homework than others. I'm not here condemning parents, don't get me wrong, because there are parents out there in this day and time that's trying to make a living with 2 jobs. There are families out there with a lot more than just one sibling. They have several siblings. And each one requires a certain amount of attention. So, what we're looking at as far as the benefits of this type program, I think they're kind of self-speak for themselves. But one of those is obviously the child has an opportunity to learn just a little bit more than they might have, because let's face it, teachers have a huge responsibility. I know that. I know there's teachers in this church. There are those who have served as mentors also. But a teacher, if you ask one, I'll assure you, there's no teacher that would tell you that they have all the time they need for one-on-one connections with students. And that's where the Reading Buddies program plays a big role. 30 minutes a week. That's all we're doing at Star. 30 minutes a week. And this helps improve the kids' reading skills. It helps improve their confidence in themselves. And it improves their attitudes. But not only does that, it will also help with their peer and how the peers view them. Success, and let me tell you this very quickly, success is not always measured, and this is the hard part that I did not understand. I did not recognize it until later in the program. Success is not always measured by their improved reading skills. Sometimes it's measured by the stable relationship that you develop with that kid. It's so important. It's that one-on-one attention time that they receive. And it's amazing because I can kind of bring this into focus. Think about yourselves. When you were a kid and you were in school, there are teachers that affected your lives. And they served as a role model to you. There are others when you were a kid that served as a role model, and you had that opportunity to do this. What is it required? It only requires 30 minutes a week. That's all we're doing currently. If you want to do that more, that's fine. We do suggest, however, that if your church would like to get involved with it and the school that you want to get involved with, that you ask for at least one volunteer to be a connection to the school so that people can turn it back. Before I leave, I'd just like to tell you one other item. You will gain in ways you will not even appreciate at the moment if you become a volunteer and can help in one of these schools. You have no idea what effect you're having on that child. It is amazing sometimes. Teachers come back to us and tell us some of the effects it's had on some of their kids. Parents have come back to us and shared what it meant to their child. Grandparents have come back to us and told us what it meant to share that time with their child. And I'd like to leave you with this. And I think for those of you that have ever read this book, you'll know the sentence I'm talking about. The favorite sentence that I've ever read in my life in any book came from Rick Warren. He said, "It's not about you." I read that sentence and I thought about it. I said, "What do you mean it's not about me? Everything's about me in my little world." But I quickly come to realize it's all about God. And in this case, it's all about God's little. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Over the last couple of months, Reverend Kay Boone and I have been discussing possibly starting a radio program over at Greenridge, because we're right here in Biscoe, we're real close. We have a lot of teachers, some retired recently, that work there, and so we could have a really good relationship with the school, but we need your help. I know growing up, in college, I went through Big Brothers Big Sisters program, and I had several as I went through my 20s, working with little kids, going and reading and working with them and playing games, and it was very rewarding. So I challenge you to look at that, see if this might be something for you. We have sign-up sheets in the vestibule that we could use, that we could get. Also, if you might be willing to be the contact person, like Gary was mentioning, please talk to me about that. So, thank you, Gary, for being here with us. And Jimmy. Let's move into our congregational concerns and thanksgivings at this point. I did want to make mention of Jimmy Cagle, who has fallen a couple times this week, and as of this morning has refused to go to the hospital. So Jack is there, so hopefully maybe he might be able to just carry him out there if he won't go. But be in prayer for Jimmy and Florence as they're going through this, and this is a difficult situation for anybody. I did get to see Jane Covington this week. She's getting stronger. She's still a little weak, so be in prayer for her. She's continuing to get better. What other prayer requests might we mention today? Great. All right. Well, let's begin our worship with some music. Oh Lord our God, we are thankful to be in your house this day. We're thankful that on this Lord's Day that we can come to give a bit of ourselves to you. That as we come with our time, our resources, our songs of thanksgivings and praise, that we can come with open hearts to hear what you would have us learn and feel and think today. Lord, we thank you that in our lives that we have so many blessings that we can be thankful for. We're thankful that you are there with us through those as well as those times where we are struggling. Whichever time that is today, we ask that you help us to set aside everything and focus on you. To focus on how your work is being done in this community and in this world, and how we can join together with others to do even more. Lord, we thank you for Jesus the Christ, who led such a great example for us to follow. We thank you that he taught us to pray, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. You join me now as we read responsibly our call to worship printed in the bulletin. O God, who is our shepherd and our king, O Christ, who was crucified and risen from the dead, O Spirit, who comforts and empowers, in your gentleness guide us, in your power strengthen us, in your lowliness preserve us, in your greatness lift us up that we might grow closer to you. Touch our hearts, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, for we have come to worship you. Please stand as we sing our choral call to worship, I Love You, Lord, page 362 in your hymn. Please stand as we sing.
The gospel lesson today comes from Matthew chapter 5, verses 3 through 9. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God.
Stand again as we sing our hymn, Let Truth and Mercy Find You Here, page 692 in your hymn book. Please stand after.
She really is. There's something wrong. Wilhelmina, what is it? I know you're upset. I can tell that, but you just need to calm down just a little bit. What? Well, she says she loses everything. Is that right? Oh, I've heard people say that if she'd lose her head if it weren't attached to her body. Is that right? Is that what your mama tells you? Yeah. Well, so, do you all ever lose anything? You do? Does it worry you when you lose something and drive you nuts until you can find it? Yeah. Do you ever lose something that belongs to somebody else? Oh, yeah, she has. What'd you lose? Ooh, Mom's car keys. Well, that's not a good thing. Well, Wilhelmina, we know how you feel, and I lose things too. So what can we do to help you out? Make you feel better? Oh, you've got a list of things you've lost? Oh, you want these kids to help me find them? Could y'all help them? Okay, well, hold on. Let's just see what she's lost. Where's your list? Oh, she's got it right here. Got it wadded up nice and tight. Open this up, Wilhelmina. Yeah, she's got her list of stuff. Okay, first on her list, she says that she has lost her socks. Does anybody see those around anywhere? You do? Well, could you get them for me? Oh. Leah found them. Thanks so much. Okay, now the next thing, is Mom's car keys. This is pretty important. Thank goodness, she says. Okay, that was most. Oh my gosh, she's lost her toothbrush. How in the world did you lose? Oh, she says thank you so much. Now, she has lost her baby doll. See, Wilhelmina, just a little help makes things all better. Okay. Oh, two more things. She has lost her monkey. You know the monkey. She's lost such a boy monkey. There it is. Thank you. One more thing. Oh, yeah, this is for her snack. She says she's lost her apple. Oh, an apple. Wow. Thank you. Look, Wilhelmina, your whole list, we found it. Yay. Well, you know what? We all lose things, don't we, sometimes? We all. But did you know, Wilhelmina, there's one thing that you can never, ever lose? Do y'all know what that is? You can never lose God's love, no matter what. And you know what, Wilhelmina? God came to show us how much He loves us when He came through His Son Jesus, who loved us enough to die on the cross. And what more can you do, right? That's how much God loves us. So let's all remember that no matter what, the one thing we can never lose is the love and care of God. Let's pray. Father, we thank you this day that in this world where we do lose things and we lose our way sometimes, that the one thing that we can always count on is that you are there for us. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you so much.
Would you read response to our prayer of confession printed in the bulletin? Most merciful God, we confess that we have sinned against you in thought, word, and deed. We have not loved you with our whole heart. We have not loved our neighbors as ourselves. We pray you, in your mercy, forgive what we have been, amend what we are, direct what we shall be, that we may delight in your will and walk in your ways, giving thanks in all circumstances, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Here's the good news. In the name of Jesus, you are forgiven. In the name of Jesus, you are forgiven. Let us pray. Oh Lord our God, as we break from those distractions and things that take us away from being aware of you, we ask for your mercy. We ask for the mercies that are new every morning. We ask for the mercies that show us how to treat one another. Lord, we ask for the mercies that we find in Jesus the Christ. Lord, forgive us when we are hard and rigid with people we should show compassion to. Forgive us for those times when showing mercy is the hard thing to do, so we choose not to. Forgive us when we forget that we were shown mercy by you and at such a sacrifice. We are thankful for a time and a place where we can offer our confessions to you and know that your mercies will follow. Lord, be with us now as we continue to worship you through our songs and our prayers and our words. For it's in Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen. Stand as we sing our offer to Him. It is well with my soul, verses 1, 3, and 4, page 573 in your hand. Please stand as we sing.
1 through 17. In the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land, and a certain man of Bethlehem in Judah went to live in the country of Moab, he and his wife and 2 sons. The name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife Naomi. And the names of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Ephrathites from Bethlehem in Judah. They went into the country of Moab and remained there. But Elimelech, the husband of Naomi, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. These took Moabite wives. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth. When they had lived there about 10 years, both Mahlon and Chilion also died, so that the woman was left without her 2 sons and her husband. Then she started to return with her daughters-in-law from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab that the Lord had considered his people and given them food. So she set out from the place where she had been living, she and her 2 daughters-in-law, and they went on their way to go back to the land of Judah. But Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go back, each of you, to your mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant that you may find security, each of you, in the house of your husband." Then she kissed them, and they wept aloud. They said to her, "No, we will return with you to your people." But Naomi said, "Turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Do I still have sons in my womb that they may become your husbands? Turn back, my daughters. Go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. Even if I thought there was hope for me, even if I should have a husband tonight and bear sons, would you then wait until they were grown? Would you then refrain from marrying? No, my daughters, it has been far more bitter for me than for you, because the hand of the Lord has turned against me." Then they wept aloud again. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. So she said, "See, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. Return after your sister-in-law." But Ruth said, "Do not press me to leave you or to turn back from following you. Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die. There will I be buried. May the Lord do thus and so to me, and more as well, if even death parts me from you."
When
College, I took a 8 a.m. class, which in college is ridiculous. But this one was called hymnology, and it studied hymns. Basically, it was getting up way too early for a college kid and singing hymns and learning about their stories. But out of that class, I heard the story of Horatio Spafford. Now, Spafford was a Presbyterian layman from Chicago. He had established a very successful legal practice and was a young businessman and was also a devout Christian. But in a saga reminiscent of Job, his son died at a very young age. And then shortly after that, he had this financial disaster happen. His fortune evaporated in the wake of the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. He had heavily invested in real estate along Lake Michigan's shoreline, and he lost everything overnight. But the worst was even yet to come. As hymnologist Kenneth Osbeck tells the story, desiring a rest for his wife and 4 daughters, Spafford planned a European trip for his family in 1873. In November of that year, due to unexpected last-minute business developments, he had to remain in Chicago. But he sent his wife and his 4 daughters on ahead as scheduled on the SS Ville du Havre, and he expected to follow in a few days. But on November 22nd, during that trip, the ship was struck by an English vessel, and it sank in 12 minutes. And several days later, a few of the survivors were finally carted off to Cardiff, Wales, in England. And Mrs. Spafford cabled her husband 2 words: "Saved alone." So Spafford left immediately to join his wife, and on his way to his wife, he wrote the song, "It Is Well With My Soul," that we sang just a little bit ago. And he wrote the song as he approached the area where the ship went down. And he lost his 4 daughters. The song echoes the story of so many other stories in the Bible and in our own lives today. It's a song about loss and continuing on. It's a song that anyone can relate to as if you've lost someone at any time. It's a song of courage that evokes hope and light in the midst of darkness. It's a song that Ruth would have sung. Today we're going to start a series on the book of Ruth. We're going to start with the first chapter today. But the book is very unique to the Bible because it doesn't really have God as a character in it. God is mentioned and is at the heart of this story, but only as this outside motivator. You know, one would think after Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, and Judges, that God would continue to be more active. Because in those books, God shows up in a number of ways. God performs these incredible, supernatural, miraculous events to save Israel. But the book of Ruth is different. Instead of God leading the action, leading the Israelite people, Ruth, this no-name person from this no-name country of Moab, becomes the central voice in the book. The book as a whole is special to our faith because it could have been and still could be our story. It's a story of loss, of redemption, of loyalty, of hope. Ruth's story is our story. Ruth's faith is our faith. That's why it resonates so much with us even today. But the context for this book shows why Ruth and her actions are integral to the greater Bible story, because the book of Ruth picks up right after the book of Judges. The last verse of Judges says, "In those days there was no king in Israel. All the people did what was right in their own eyes." In the beginning of Ruth it says, in the days when the judges ruled. So in the midst of this national crisis and all-out lawlessness and chaos, we see the story of Ruth playing out. We see Ruth's story become a story of how people ought to be in a time of chaos. When everyone is doing as they wish and there's no morality ruling the day, what is our role as Christians? For Ruth's story, it's to do what is right even under truly difficult situations. There's a humorous children's story about a young boy who wets his pants. And the kid is sitting at his desk at school, and all of a sudden there's a puddle between his feet, and at the front of his pants are wet. And he thinks his heart is going to stop, because he cannot possibly imagine how this has happened. Never happened before. And he knows that when the boys find out, they'll never hear the end of it. And when the girls find out, they'll never talk to him again. And the boy believes his heart is physically going to stop. And he puts his head down and he prays this prayer. "Dear God, this is an emergency. I need help now. 5 minutes from now, I'm dead meat." And he looks up from his prayer, and here comes the teacher with a look in her eyes that says he's been found out. And as the teacher's walking toward him, this classmate named Susie is carrying this goldfish bowl that's filled with water. And Susie trips in front of the teacher and soaks the boy's lap with the water. The boy pretends to be angry, but all the while he's saying to himself, "Thank you, Lord, thank you, Lord, thank you, Lord." So now, all of a sudden, instead of being the object of ridicule, the boy is an object of sympathy. The teacher rushes him downstairs, gives him some gym shorts to put on while his pants are drying out. All the other children are on their hands and knees cleaning up around his desk, the mess, and the sympathy is wonderful, but as life always has it, the ridicule that should have been his has been transferred to someone else. Susie. She tries to help, but they tell her to get out. "You've done enough, Klutz." Finally, at the end of the day, as they're waiting on the bus, the boy walks over to Susie and whispers, "You did that on purpose, didn't you?" Susie whispers, "I wouldn't my pants once too." Doing the right thing, no matter the impact on our own lives, sometimes leads us to embarrassment or ridicule or isolation, but God still calls us to do the right thing. To be someone who cares so much about others that you would risk it all. It's what Jesus taught us to do from the cross, because love always speaks louder and more fervently through our actions. And the book of Ruth chronicles a way forward for people who have lost someone. Naomi and Ruth are people who have lost so much in life. Naomi loses her husband and sons and one daughter-in-law, her future, her property. And not only that, but she loses her security and her livelihood. This is all she's known. She loses her pride, and that life that she pictured is ripped from her memory. And she is bitter. And Ruth loses too. She loses all that Naomi has, and she is much younger and has a longer life to go. However, Ruth addresses the loss in a different way. She clings to what she still has. She holds on to what she hasn't lost. She finds hope. Rob Bell, whose book we're reading for our book study, also at one time did short videos to use for small Bible study. And one of the videos is called Matthew. And in it, Rob Bell tells the story of a young man that died suddenly in a car accident. And the boy's name was Matthew, and Rob Bell was very close with him. Bell goes through the various ways people deal with grief and how important it is to deal with it in whatever way we can. Because dealing with it is healthier than not. And he speaks on the way Naomi deals with this loss. And he says this: it's easy when we suffer loss for whatever it is that we lost to become the center of our life, and we had them, and now they're gone. And so there's this giant hole where they once were, and it becomes all we can think about. And he says, and what happens in the process is our whole life becomes what we don't have, and we lose out on what we do have. But then she speaks on how Ruth deals with her loss. And in it, he gives this blessing. He says, may you realize that Jesus wept. And may you come to see that whatever you're feeling, it's okay. May you make the choice not to become bitter and closed, but open. May you make the choice, and may you realize that God is sitting Shiva with you, fully present, grieving your loss with you, but also restoring you. And in that, may we find hope. Ruth's options are limited here. There's not much she can do. But her choice to stay with Naomi and go back to Bethlehem speaks to how far she had come with God. For Ruth, she was going back with no husband, no children, and as an immigrant from a far-off land who was unaware of the customs and traditions of this future country she's going to. I mean, it's hard to imagine a more difficult situation for a young woman to be in that society, but she still goes with Naomi. And I'm sure the biggest reason for Ruth following Naomi is centered on God's hesed. Now, this hesed is a Hebrew word that can be translated loving kindness, but it is seen as way more than that. It's a lot deeper than that. Hesed is what is used in Micah 6:8 when it calls on the Israelites to love mercy. It's seen as what all the law should be interpreted through. It's about covenantal loyalty to God or to some other people. It's compassion that endures and holds firm despite what comes this way. It's the way God relates to humanity. This is at the core of God's actions, and it endures forever. It's what Ruth's story in the book is about. Robert Frost's poem, The Road Not Taken, is about how we make our decisions. Do we take chances or stay safe with what we know? I mean, this is at the heart of Ruth's decision to follow Naomi. The last stanza of the poem is the most famous, and many people probably even here can quote it. It says the last few lines go, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. As one poetry scholar says about this poem, this person, faced with an important conscious decision, chose the least popular, the path of most resistance. He was destined to go down one, regretted not being able to take both, so he sacrificed one for the other. Naomi knew what kind of sacrifice Ruth was making. But Ruth would not be deterred. She accepted the less traveled road and did not know what kind of difference it would make, but trusted in God's hesed. She indicates her choice by saying the most quoted verse in the book of Ruth. Ruth tells Naomi, do not press me to leave you or to turn back from me. Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die. There will I be buried. May the Lord do thus and so to me, and more as well, even if even death parts me from you. You know, we use this phrase and this passage in weddings or in other places that we need to hear a word of commitment and loyalty. But this statement is more than that. It voices God's hope for our own everyday lives. God is constantly trying to show that where we go, God will go. That where we lodge, God will lodge. That where we die, God will be there too. Even over and over through God's eternal hesed, we hear God saying, don't press me to leave you. Or to turn back from you. Be with me. Let me show you a better way forward in life. Let me be your God, and death will never part you from me. And this is our message of hope today. This is our hesed message of loving kindness that God is always offering to us. And this is the message we are called to share with others as often as we are able. Maybe today you've never accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Maybe you would like to join this church to transfer a letter or baptism. Maybe you simply like me to pray for you. Whatever it is, I'll be down front as we sing our closing hymn, He Leadeth Me in Blessed Thought, verses 1 and 2, page 68. Please stand. So if you will join me in accepting her and loving on her, and praying on her, and praying for her, and challenging her as well as we all hopefully will challenge each other, would you say amen? Amen. Thank you. Be sure to, after the benediction, to come by and share that love and peace that you share with one another. Come up here, give her a big hug, tell her we're glad she's joined, and we love you. We love you so much. All right. Stay right here. I'm going to move back. It's another person. Here now, our benediction. Lord, as we go, we thank you that you go with us. We thank you that you will go behind us to clean up after us, and that you will go ahead of us to prepare the hearts and minds of people who reach. In Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.